offensive and defensive lines here today. That's what's got me feeling nicey. So I really like those videos. So just had to support it.
Yeah, no, the videos are awesome. I mean, just pure football guy. That's the definition of John Gruden. I don't think he does anything but watch tape.
Yep. Yeah, Gruden grinder. He's just grinding that tape, man. Gotta love it.
But the best thing that he did, outside of his coaching, obviously I had a great coaching career. And I think he will be back in the league at some point if I had to guess. But I used to love the Fired Football Coaches Association videos on ESPN when he would break down film with the quarterbacks. Those were always the best.
Oh yeah. No, he's just great. Like you said, football guy through and through. Just loves to be around the game. Shoot, he's not coaching right now. He's still trying to be part of it, doing some of that content, and just you can tell he's a guy that football is what he does, and he's good at it. So.
Yeah, he's one hell of a football coach, hell of a football mind. We have an interesting game tonight. Before we break down the usual mismatches from the offensive and defensive line perspective, talk about some DFS defenses, we want to talk about a little bit the Minnesota Vikings going against the Los Angeles Rams tonight. Spread open at 3, down to 2.5. I think 90% of the money in bets is coming in on Minnesota right now, and the line's moving towards LA. Interesting game here, Max. To me, this is a trap line. I still probably wouldn't take either side of it, but if you had to make a pick in this game real quick, who are you going with?
Yeah, like you said, it does feel like a bit of a trap. Like you want to take the team that's only lost one game versus the team that's barely won a couple of games here. So, like instinctually, you want to take Minnesota here, but there's a little bit of Vegas is cooking something up. It feels like, and like I said, I think to you before the show here is. Seeing teams who play the Lions the week afterwards, they're a little bit banged up, don't do as well as maybe they should. Maybe that's why the line's set the way it is. I don't know. It makes me want to kind of go with Vegas here a little bit and take the Rams and kind of roll with it, see what happens. But it does feel weird taking just 2.5 points with a team that has 2 wins versus a team that has 5 wins. So it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way, honestly. If the Vikings won the game, I'd say they're the better team. If the Rams came out and won the game, I'd say the line was set in a way that the Rams were going to go win the game. So should be an interesting one tonight. But we're talking about the entire slate, and we start with our biggest mismatch of the week. Max, you got the Kansas City defense, which has just been fantastic this season, considering Patrick Mahomes has not really played at the highest level, made plays when he has to, but the defense has bailed him out a lot going against the Las Vegas Raiders offense. Why do you like this one?
Yeah, just like you said, that defense has been bailing them out. They haven't been scoring a lot of points. Like this isn't the Chiefs offense that we kind of got to know and love a couple years ago that they're putting up 50 here and there. I saw a stat right before the show. I probably should have double checked it just to make sure it's accurate, but I didn't want to believe it. But it said something about the Chiefs not having thrown a passing touchdown in the month of October, which don't want to believe it, but the way the Chiefs are playing right now, it is kind of believable. So maybe I need to double check that here. But it's just one of those things. The engine of that team right now is the defense. They're playing really good football together as a team. It's a holistic kind of approach as a team. Kind of grinding down the clock, playing good defense, getting the ball back. And when you've got a guy like Chris Jones up front, I mean, we can't have this show and not talk about him. He's a guy everybody knows is coming for you. And every week, opposing offenses are up at night trying to scheme how to keep him off the quarterback. And it still feels like every time there's a critical situation, he's in the backfield. So it's just one of those things when you have a player like that, especially when you're playing with leads, you can make a big difference there.
Yeah, and there's big names all over this defense. Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill in the secondary, like guys like Trent McDuffie really like. So there's a lot of talent. Justin Reed. There's a lot of dudes on this team that can play football. So I think this is a massive mismatch. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are in for a treat, especially coming off what they did in the offseason with the Kermit the Frog. Remember training camp, they were imitating Patrick Mahomes and Kermit the Frog, which I guess nothing new for him, but that's probably not the smartest move when you're owned by the Kansas City Chiefs already. You're just lighting a fire.
Yeah, I get wanting to kind of get after your division opponents a little bit, but probably not the smartest idea. Like when you said they've had your number, so don't want to add to that,
especially not in training camp. That's something you do after the game. But anyway. Looking at our budget plays for the week, these are our biggest mismatches for the best price from a defensive perspective. So looking at DFS defenses, you got the Chicago Bears defense going against the Washington Commanders offense for $2,700. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play in this one. I think he's trending towards not playing. Do you have any insight on that, Max?
No insight, but that is where I feel like he's trending, which is why I have him on the list here. With him in, it's a different ball game. Marcus Mariota is a good veteran quarterback. He put up a lot of numbers last week, a lot of points, but like we have a lot larger sample size with him, and I think he can be dependable, but he's not going to be the guy that you're necessarily scared of at this point in his career. And so, with the Chicago Bears defense being a defense that has been a strong defense throughout the year, kind of gave the Chicago Bears offense time to kind of find their footing. I think this is one where, we got a revenge game from Montez Sweat, who got traded out of there last year. Gervon Dexter's having a good season. I think they've got guys. Again, this is a defense. Yeah, guys at all levels of the defense there, but we're focusing on the defensive line here, and I think that front, that defense, they can cause problems for anybody, but especially if we're talking about the backup quarterback here, and especially one that like Jaden Daniels, who's lifted his team's play so much. Like they look night and day from where they were, even with a lot of the same personnel. Obviously, a few other additions, but I just like this Chicago defense here in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, every team's different, but I know from my mindset as an offensive lineman, when you have a backup quarterback coming in, it's really hard. I feel like you're almost defeated before the game starts, especially when you got your guy who you know has just been lights out this season, and you're switching away from him because you have to. It's definitely tough from an offensive line perspective because you know the offense is in for a rough day, a new snap count, just a lot of different things. When you were playing in the CFL or playing in college and you knew you were going against a young not saying Marcus Mariota is a young quarterback, but a quarterback with less experience and obviously more NFL experience than Jaden Daniels, but a backup quarterback. What was the mindset?
You want to get them in those passing situations for sure. You don't want to let them just – because a lot of times teams will try to put the ball in the running back's hands, kind of like take the pressure off of the quarterback when you have to play a guy who's maybe not as comfortable to being back there. So you want to push them into those passing situations. Make sure you shut down the run because they will try to establish that run, kind of maybe cut down the clock a little bit more than they normally would. But if you can shut that down, get your offense to put some points on the board, you can force them to pass where maybe they're not as comfortable with that backup quarterback, and maybe he doesn't have the same chemistry with the receivers, don't quite know like how many steps you want to take on a particular route or something like that. They just want to force them into those situations. Then when you get them to get into those passing situations, you get to pin your ears back, not worry about that run as much anymore. And that's when you really get to have fun on the defensive line. Just kind of cut it loose, party in the backfield.
Definitely. And then as an offensive lineman, you hated the parties in the backfield. You just wanted to quick game, run the ball effectively, and set your quarterback up for success because it's really, really hard, from that perspective when you got to get I know I'm saying young quarterback and Marcus Mariota, not necessarily in this situation, but a quarterback who is just not your guy. So it can definitely be hard. Looking at the next play here, Max, you're going Washington defense versus Chicago Bears offense. You're just switching sides here for $2,900. Caleb Williamson playing better and better. Some have actually said he's outplayed Jaden Daniels the past few weeks. I still think there's a lot of inconsistencies there on that offense, but why are you leaning towards the Washington Commanders defense, a unit that was actually really bad early in the season?
Yeah. So this one, there is a little bit to do with the Bears here too. So I'm going to focus in on that to start. Like you said, they have been getting better. They're coming off a bye week too, which normally helps, but we're not necessarily talking about Andy Reid coming off a bye week here. So doesn't always help. But if they have been inconsistent on offense, and if we kind of see a little bit of reversion to what they were early in the season, this is a team that can be beat on offense. And so they're if we're talking about the Commanders' defense here, they've been kind of stepping up to play a little bit more recently. You got Deron Payne out there, and I know Jonathan Allen just is on the IR now, but both of those guys I know had trade rumors centered around them last year after Sweat went out, and so I think both of them probably happy that they stayed with where Washington's at right now. But yeah, those guys, like I said, Allen out, but are really the heartbeat of that defensive front. You got Drazon Newton, who was an early round pick this year. They're hoping he can fill into Jonathan Allen's footsteps a little bit there. And I just think that, especially if this Cliff Kingsbury offense does work out with Marcus Mariota, or if they get Jaden Daniels back, and yeah, they're putting some points on the board. You force the Bears to kind of keep pace, and that doesn't seem to be kind of how they like to play. So if you can make them try to play catch up, I think it's a spot where Washington can thrive. Chicago kind of, so far they've been a little bit of a front runner, not necessarily from like their attitude, just like that's how their team plays. They play from the front more, a lot better it seems on offense. So, well, most teams do.
Yeah, most teams do for sure. I mean, it should be an interesting game there. I wish Jaden Daniels was playing so we could get that rookie versus rookie matchup. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Either way, I think it's a lower scoring game. I think both offenses are a little hesitant here, and defenses play well. So for 2,900 and 2,700, pretty good prices. Really like this next play out of you. I'm going to give away my favorite right now. This would be a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense going against the Atlanta Falcons offense. You know, before we get into this play as a DFS bet, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers done, Max?
I don't think so. Obviously, it's not ideal when you lose your two top targets, especially when it's tandem that could have been ranked towards the top of the league. Definitely like a top 5 tandem. You lose both of them in one game, and now Baker's kind of having to deal with maybe K-Dot and Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, guys like that. I'm not going to say they can't fill in and do it, because they definitely can. They have talent, but it's not Mike Evans. It's not Chris Godwin. So I'm also interested to see if they get on the trade market. But to answer your question, I do think they can still do it. It's just going to have to look different than it did before. They're going to have to find different ways to win. You're not going to get down into that 5-yard line and shoot. Mike Evans is always money down in the red zone. You don't have that anymore. You're going to have to find other ways to score. You're not going to have that security blanket with Chris Godwin coming through the slot and just always finding a way to get open. So I think they have talented players, and shoot, Kate Otten has been putting up numbers last few weeks here. So like that one is, I think, established. But you just got to find different ways to win. And I think they can do it. They're a good football team, well coached. Baker Mayfield's playing well. It's just, you've got to find different guys to rely on.
Yeah, I mean, Baker's a dog. I think they're going to have to work Rachaad White into the passing game a lot more, and then use that 3-headed monster at running back with him and Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving. So we'll see what happens there. But specifically looking at the defense, my one hesitation with how they've played is just KJ Britt. Seems like he's gone caveman a little bit, hasn't necessarily been at his best. And I think for this Buccaneers defense to be at their best and shut down the Falcons, he needs to play a lot better. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they need that. Like, obviously they came off a week 2 where they just played against an alien in the backfield, and I guess 2 aliens in the backfield in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And so obviously they're coming off a week that's not very good, but a lot of times you come off those weeks, it's a little bit more tense at practice too. Tempers maybe are a little bit shorter. Nobody likes to lose like that. And so when that happens, I think that pressure sometimes can be a good thing. And for KJ Britt and the rest of the defense, I think, they come out a little bit more focused. And like I said, like, they're not going to be playing those guys again. Like, it's those guys are just in a different league right now.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a great revenge spot, I think, for Tampa Bay. I mean, they handed the game away. I don't think they're done. People have written them off, and this is where Baker Mayfield thrives. I think that mentality is going to float throughout the entire defense as well and the team. So I do like this. This is my favorite play, Max. I don't know if you have a favorite between the three.
Yeah, I think I like the Chicago play, particularly if Mariota's out. If Mariota is playing. If Jaden Daniels is out, I like that one particularly. If Jaden Daniels does play, I think I would side with you here on the Buccaneers play. But it all kind of depends on where the injury report falls, I guess, as we close into Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. Jaden Daniels makes a huge impact, but if you say he's not playing, it is a good bet or a good defensive pick for me. I think the Bucs find a way to bounce back. You're embarrassed last week. You got to be better.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a team that they can be better against as long as they don't let them go drive the entire field in 1 minute. like they did last time. So
yeah. Well, and also, they're familiar with each other now, and Atlanta has been pretty inconsistent as well. So there's that, and I think familiarity a lot of times I think helps the defense. You kind of know what the other team's gonna bring bring at you. So I do think this is a good spot for them. And I've said his name probably 1,000 times on the show, but I also just love Vita Vea in the middle. It's just, I don't know, man after my own heart. You got a 350 pounder that can move like that and command the attention he commands. He's a beast. And then you got Cansey, you got Diaby, you got Shoyinka, you got all those guys. Younger group, but I think a group that has a lot of potential, and I think they can put it together here.
Yeah, definitely. So looking at this week, Max, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit. I'm not gonna give you a game this week, even though obviously it's gonna happen in a game. But I'm excited to see Cleveland's offense with Jameis Winston. Jameis is just a fun guy to watch. Just whether it's playing football, giving a pep talk, giving an interview, doesn't matter. Wherever you can find a Jameis video, it's just fun to watch. And I think that the element that he's going to bring to this offense is going to be a lot more interesting to watch than what they've had with Deshaun Watson here over the last however long, where he's just been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And so just seeing what Jameis brings to that, if he gives a little bit of that YOLO ball that he had in Tampa Bay, I think it'll be fun. If he's a little bit more conservative, like maybe he was in New Orleans, then we'll see. But I do think he's just kind of got that gene that he's gonna try to make something happen. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, we'll find out. But excited to see that, and then also obviously Nick Chubb back for a second game, hopefully with a little bit more of a workload. You love to see him come back from that injury that he had last year. I do think they lose that game because they're playing those guys in Baltimore we were just talking about, but I am excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, 100%. Me as well. Well, that was win in the trenches for week 8. I'm very excited to see if the Buccaneers can bounce back. That's kind of where I'm at this week, and hopefully they do that. But we will see, and we'll talk about it next week on In the Trenches for week 9. Max, thanks for joining, and we'll be back here next time, guys. Next week at this time, Thursday at 6:30. Hope everyone has a good one. Good luck on your bets and your DFS plays tonight, and we'll see you soon.